Yo, what's happening, people? It's Brett here from Bad Intentions Boxing. I've got Lee Eaton with me, promoter, matchmaker for MTK. Lee, absolutely fantastic to have you on. How are you keeping, buddy?
Yeah, really good, mate. Just cracking on with things. It's a funny old world at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah, and I can appreciate at the moment it's keeping you busy 24/7. I would imagine that phone in your hand is like dynamite.
Yeah, it's always busy with MTK. It's been obviously a bit quieter this year, but it's still manic. Still got loads of stuff happening, loads of shows being planned and fights being matched. So yeah, it's all good.
And I think for those out there that aren't sure of who you are, could you just give us a brief description or a brief introduction of who you are and what you're about, please?
Lee Eaton. No, I was obviously I worked for MTK Global. Started in, I think it was end of 2006. Obviously, before that I'd done white collar boxing, like unlicensed boxing for probably about 3 or 4 years. I've done about 56. Well, I don't even know how many shows. I lost count how many shows I've done in the unlicensed game. I just learnt my craft from there, obviously, and then got speaking to MTK at a show. It was MGM at the time. Spoke with them, and then that was the start of 2006. And then about November, I got a phone call and had another meeting, and just went from there. Really, I started MTK London doing shows. Just started slowly. Ended up doing I think 5 shows in the first year, and then MTK just absolutely snowballed, and it just started getting busier and busier. So it's been a bit of a mad few years. Gone from obviously the bottom, and we're pushing up there now with some big shows, big fights happening, quality shows, obviously on ESPN, Sky Sports, and IFL TV, and that. So yeah, it's been and we've been on BT as well with Michael Conlan's show. So yeah, no, this has been a mad few years, but it's cracking on and it's not slowing down at the minute. So it's good.
Well, that's a great insight to hear, and especially with everything that's going on outside of the world, the cogs are still turning and everything's still moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
So you're saying 2006,
definitely.
so for potentially, you're looking at that period of 15 years that you've been involved with MTK and you've seen the business
15,
really.
2016.
I thought you said 2006.
Oh, did I ask? I meant 2016. MTK's only about 8 years old, I think, 7, 8 years old.
When you said to it, I'll edit this stuff out. And I was thinking when you said to me 2006.
No,
So
I was 2016.
I was only young in
Yeah, so
2006, mate, and you're younger than me, so fuck me.
yeah, no.
So since 2016, well, that's an even metaphoric rise then. And you think since 2016 to be pushing on into 2021 and really up there with some of those boxers and the likes of Tyson Fury, and some of the names of these big boxers that you've got that are headlining shows that are part of that MTK brand. How would you say transitioning back? I know you mentioned before you did unlicensed boxing, but how did you ever get or become involved in the world of boxing?
Basically, obviously, one of my best mates is John Wayne Hibbert, former Commonwealth champion, WBC international. He used to box for obviously Frank and then Eddie. So I was always with him at shows, helping him with his tickets, just being there on fight week and stuff like that. So obviously, I've always been around the game for a few years before I started doing unlicensed shows, and then I started going to his fights when he was fighting for Cole Greaves, and so just like learning the game. I was just interested. And then I think 2012, one of my mates, we was going to go to watch John Wayne Hibbert versus Tommy Coward in Doncaster. And a week before that happened, one of my mates died. He fell downstairs and broke his neck. So the last conversation we had was about boxing. So I said, I thought to myself, what can I do in memory of him? So I've done a charity boxing show. It was May 2013. And literally sold it out, done about, I think, 9 or 10 fights, sold it out. We had 2 girls fighting each other. They was best mates, another 2 best mates fighting, another 2 best mates fighting. Everyone done their bit. And we sold the place out. We raised about 10 grand for charity. And I thought, hang on a minute, if I can raise 10 grand for charity, I can do this for myself. So the next show I done like a prize fighter, and that sold out. And I made myself a nice few quid. I thought, this is all right. I like this. Then done another show 2 months later, and it absolutely bombed. I probably nicked about 500, about grand maximum. I thought, fucking hell, this ain't no good. So then I just sat back and thought, why did that happen and stuff like that. I sort of just picked holes in everything that I'd done and just started improving. And then it just started snowballing. I was doing shows every couple of months. One of the shows I done at the Brentwood Centre, and I sold 2,000 tickets and had 28 fights on the show, and it was rammed in there. You could not move, and like it's probably one of the best shows I've been to, like atmosphere wise, things like that. I thought, oh yeah, I love this. Do you know what I mean? And then I think it was the start of 2016. It was January 2016. John Wayne Hibbert versus Tommy Martin.
Yeah.
We went to the fight. Wayne won by a 12th round knockout, I think, to retain his Commonwealth. We went back to the hotel and had a few beers. And then I met MGM at the time, and I sat there talking to them, just chewing their ear off for a couple of hours, and then just stayed in touch. And from then on, I had another meeting with them. And then in November, it started. We said we're going to do MTK London. So the announcement was January 2017. And then in the March, it was on St. Patrick's Day. So we done a show St. Patrick's Day at the Brentwood Centre. Really good show, just no really big fights on it. I think there might have been a Southern Area title fight or something like that. I can't really remember. But yeah, it just went on from there, and it's just snowballed, right? The things that I've done in that last 3 years, 4 years is I pinch myself sometimes. I think, hang on a minute, but it's just been a mad few years, but it's been brilliant. I enjoy it.
And I think what you've referenced there and the way that you speak about it, you know, is entrepreneurial, and that's what we're talking about. You saw an idea or an area of investment and somewhere that you could actually back yourself in, and you've come through and it's proved fruitful for you.
Yeah, listen, obviously the first 3 years I've done, probably 4 years I've done with the unlicensed. It was a full-time job, and I was doing the asbestos surveying as well. And then in 2015, I moved to February 2015. My missus was ill. We found out she had cervical cancer. She was only 24 at the time, so obviously I had to quit my job. My little boy had just been born. He was 6 months old, and it happened the week we moved to Ipswich. So we moved to Ipswich on Wednesday, and on the Friday she had to go to the hospital for to start chemo and stuff like that. So it was a mad old time. So boxing pulled me through, because at that time, obviously I thought I was going to lose my missus. I had a 6-month-old kid, but mentally I was fucked, absolute fucked. And then so having the boxing, obviously the unlicensed has pulled me through. That was in the February, and then April I'd done an evening with Carl Greaves. It goes. We done an evening with Ricky Hatton, and it was a smash, great night, a proper funny night, unbelievable. We ended up in Sugar Rat after, dancing on tables with Ricky Hatton and stuff like that. So it was right, and things like that. And then I've done a few shows, and I had to give up the asbestos surveying and be at home and look after my little boy. It was obviously I had to grow up, sort of thing. So it was a mad time, but boxing, having that boxing helped me through it mentally and stuff like that. Thank God in June this year she'll be 6 years in remission. So everything's really good. Everything's been blinding, but obviously having that boxing and help me through life, sort of thing. It'll help me obviously give me a career, and then it's gone on and give me a full-time career. So it's been a mad time, sort of thing. And I've always been a boxing fan, so to have it as my full-time career is what dreams really, and it's a dream job, and that's what I'm doing. And then obviously working for MTK, it started off slow and stuff like that, and then the events I've been to, the events I've been involved in, the places that I've been and stuff like that, you just think, right, I'm just over the moon with it. Listen, you have your times when you think, oh, fuck this, you know what I mean? But to do something you love doing is it's the best thing you can do, isn't it?
And that's a real touching story, I think, for anybody out there, and anybody that's going through tough times. And I think you've had to speak about probably one of the worst obstacles, that anybody's have to overcome with such
Yeah,
bad,
of course.
in particular situations like that, new child, you've just moved away from, anywhere there's normality to you, and you find yourself in this uncomfortable situation. And yet, though, you've still managed to turn around in that adversity. Thank God that obviously your wife is safe and well now.
Yeah.
You're really pushing on into what's going to be a successful career for you and your family. And MTK is growing and growing and growing. As we say, we all see it. How many MTK, local, national, and regional, global centres are there?
Yeah. Do you know what? I don't actually know how many are there. There's probably about 15 at the minute. I'm telling you, there's loads. One thing I am obviously thankful about, I'm thankful for what the opportunities that MTK have given me, because obviously I was literally unknown. All I knew is from like the unlicensed and that. So obviously they've given me this opportunity. I've took it with both hands. You know what I mean? So, but what they've done for me, given me a life, a career, I'm thankful for. Do you know what I mean? So.
And again, I'll reference that. That's fantastic for anybody else here and out there that's looking and thinking, where is it in this boxing? How do I get into this boxing world? And I think there's a fantastic story that you've shared there with a lot of people that you've spoke about tough times, adversity, mental health, and actually you've come through and you sat there successful, in your house today. So that's really pleasing to hear. Positives moving forward, 2021, what does that hold for Lee Eaton and MTK?
Listen, MTK's got a great platform at the minute with obviously ESPN, IFL. We've just done the golden contract on Sky Sports, which was very successful. A lot of fighters are getting out. So obviously a lot of our fighters are not, but it's just them times at the minute. We've got this year, we're starting next week, fly out to Dubai on Monday. We've got a show in Dubai February 6th for Lee McGregor versus Kareem Garifi for the European title. Sean McComb versus Gavin Gwynn for the Commonwealth title. And then February 19th, we're in Bolton for Liam Walsh for his British title fight. Daz Hetley for the English title. And then Danny Carr defends his Southern Area title. So we've got a couple of shows there, and then there's another show in Dubai in March, another show in April, and then hopefully end of April we'll be having a UK date. So it's busy. It's a busy few months. A lot of our fighters are getting good opportunities. Jazza Dickens has just been made mandatory for the IBF World Title. Today, Michael McKinson's announced fighting Chris Congo on a Matchroom show. So there's loads of obviously possibilities happening for our fighters. A massive one, obviously, I don't have anything to do with obviously Tyson or anything like that. That's obviously in head office and stuff, but he's going to be fighting in the biggest fight in world boxing this year, and he's obviously an MTK fighter. So it's brilliant for MTK to have that in the locker for this year.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that Tyson Fury Anthony Joshua fight will probably be one of the biggest, talked about fights for a long, long time that it's coming.
Yeah.
And I think the potential is, I think with everything that's happening at the moment, there's an unnatural balance swift in that, as in, do we have it in front of no fans, or do we take it somewhere where actually we've got the potential of fans to be there?
Yeah, well, listen, I've been asked this question before, but listen, if someone said to you, right, you can fight here and you're going to get 5 million. If you fight here, you're going to get 20 million.
Yeah.
Where are you going to fight?
Well, you're going to take the fight with £20 million, aren't you? That's
exactly.
Natural.
Right. It's a lot more money than that. Obviously, I don't know the figures, but it's going to be a lot more money than that. But listen, boxing's a short game, and I mean, you've got to get their fighters. They've got to go in and earn as much money as they possibly can. So if it's in the Middle East, if it's in America, so what? Go and let them go and have a fight and earn their money. I know, listen, everyone wants it in the UK, but how COVID is now, there's no chance of it happening in the UK.
Yeah, and I think, you know, that was going to lead on to my next point that I was going to make, actually, that yes, it would be fantastic to have it at Wembley Stadium, but it's going to be empty in front of 90,000 people at the moment. And I think with the uncertainties of the world and the way that the world is from a business perspective, I would think that the fees that the fighters you know, acknowledge and demand at that point is not going to be covered just by the TV coverage on its own, you know. And I think anybody with any sort of business now would have to accept that it's going to have to go where the money is. An expensive fight to put on, and you have to balance it. How much do you want to see this fight? Who's going to take this money? And that's always the way that it's been. It works the same way with purse bids, so it's going to work the exact same with taken abroad.
It's just it's boxing. It's boxing at the end of the day. So listen, everyone wants it at Wembley Stadium or the Millennium Stadium, 100%. But you ain't getting a crowd like that size in the UK this year. No chance.
No, and I think that's, you know, that's very fair, and that's a very honest assessment. That I would. We only recently just got back 1,000 fans for the last Anthony Joshua fight, and again,
one show.
The following week it was pulled, and I would suggest, and I would struggle to see fans back inside stadiums even before the summer. And that's just an assessment. I don't know anything, but that would be looking at the way that the current climate is difficult.
Do you know what? Listen, if you get fans back by September, I'll be very surprised. But I hope so. I want the fans to be back. I want all our fighters to be out and be able to give them. Some of the fighters have not fought in over a year now, so 100% we want them all out. But it's impossible at the minute during these times.
Lee, you've shared a fantastic story with us, you know, and you've spoke about actually coming from where you started with your asbestos surveying, actually how you've gone on to the unlicensed boxing game, and you've ended up within MTK now. And you mentioned, you know, you're extremely grateful for the career that they've given you. So I think anybody out there, again, a budding boxing enthusiast is thinking, how do I get in? Please watch this story, listen to this story. It's a fantastic story as well.
Open your gob, talk. That's all. So I got in.
I think we had a similar conversation at the start, and I think I referenced something to you that I think you've got to chase your opportunities the same way that
100%.
If you want to get involved in this world, it's difficult.
Yeah, 100%.
And I can definitely appreciate that. Usually, before we end, what we do is we have 3 quick fire questions. You can answer them if you want. You don't have to answer them if you don't want to. You can just pass it off. But it's just made for a bit of fun. Are you happy to take part?
Go on, let's go.
Right. AJ or Fury?
Fury.
London or Saudi Arabia?
Well, where it's going to be?
If the potential of it's going to be in 2 places.
Middle East.
Eddie Hearn or Frank Warren?
No comment.
Lee, honestly, you've been an absolute diamond to have on this evening. I really appreciate the time. This is Brett Redmond, Bad Intentions Boxing. Please give this a watch. It's a fantastic story to listen to, and anybody that wants to get involved in the world of boxing. Ladies and gents, thank you ever so much. Good night.